The crash and the cry, the night sky was dark and silent. Cold wind moved through the tall trees of the alien jungle. The ground was wet, and heavy rain was falling. Far above the clouds, something was falling fast from the sky, a small burning. Escape pod. The pod crashed into the ground with a loud boom. Fire and smoke rose into the air. The earth shook. Birds flew away in fear. From inside the broken pod, a faint sound came. It was the sound of someone breathing. Someone alive. A girl slowly crawled out of the pod. Her skin was pale blue, her hair silver, and her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. She was young, maybe 16 or 17, and clearly not human. Blood ran down her arm. Her clothes were torn. She looked weak, lost, and in pain. She looked around the dark jungle, confused and scared. Her lips moved, and she whispered one word in a soft voice: "Help." Her legs trembled as she tried to walk. She limped forward, hiding behind trees and rocks. Strange flying machines buzzed in the sky. They were search drones hunting survivors. Red lights scanned the area. The girl hid under a thick tree root. She pressed a small device on her wrist. It blinked once, then went dark. She closed her eyes. Her breath was fast and shaky. Far away, a human soldier named Captain Raiden walked through the jungle. His uniform was dirty, and his face was tired. He was a war survivor, alone and behind enemy lines. His radio was full of static. Then suddenly, through the noise, a strange voice came, a whisper. It didn't sound human. Raiden stopped and listened carefully. The voice repeated, "Help." It was weak but clear. "That's not one of ours," he said to himself. He checked his weapon, looked around, and moved toward the sound. As he got closer to the crash site, the trees became thicker. He saw smoke in the distance. His eyes narrowed. "Something went down here," he muttered. When he reached the crash site, he saw the broken pod. It was alien. Pieces were burning. He moved carefully, his gun ready. Then he heard a small noise behind a rock. He turned quickly and aimed. But what he saw made him freeze. The alien girl stood there, holding her side in pain. Her eyes met his. They were full of fear. "Don't move," Raiden shouted. The girl turned to run, but her legs gave up. She fell to the ground, breathing hard. Blood stained the grass. Raiden rushed forward. He saw that she was just a child. A scared, wounded child. He lowered his weapon slowly and knelt beside her. Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The girl looked at him, unsure. Her eyes started to close. Raiden picked her up gently in his arms. "You're hurt bad. But I've got you," he whispered. Suddenly, loud buzzing came from the sky. Drones were getting closer. Red lights moved through the trees. Raiden looked up. Damn, they found us. He ran through the jungle, carrying the girl. Behind him, red lights searched the crash site. One drone spotted them and gave a loud alert. The chase had begun. Raiden jumped over roots and ducked under branches. He breathed heavily but didn't stop. The girl was unconscious in his arms. Her head rested on his chest. Lasers hit trees nearby. One tree exploded behind them. Raiden found a narrow cave in a hillside. He slid inside and held his breath. The drones passed above, missing them. Inside the cave, it was dark and quiet. Raiden laid the girl on the ground gently. He took out a small light from his bag and looked at her wounds. "Who are you?" he whispered. He noticed the device on her wrist. It was blinking again. A soft blue light came from it. Suddenly, a tiny hologram appeared. A strange alien figure spoke in an unknown language. Then, in English, it said, "Protect the Starburn." "She is the key." Raiden stared at the message in shock. "Starburn? Key to what?" He looked at the girl again. She looked peaceful in her sleep. Even with blood and dirt on her face, there was something calm, something pure about her. Outside, The drones were still searching. The danger was not over. Raiden sat near the entrance of the cave, gun in hand. He looked back at the girl and whispered, "Whatever you are, I'm not leaving you behind." The cave was cold and quiet. Outside, the search drones buzzed through the night sky. But inside, time felt frozen. Captain Raiden sat against the cave wall, gun in hand. His eyes stayed on the girl Lyra, as he had learned from the strange bracelet on her wrist. She was still asleep, her body weak and wrapped in his old army jacket. Raiden didn't know what she was. But he knew one thing: she was being hunted. And somehow that made her important. Suddenly, the bracelet blinked again. Raiden stood, alert. A soft blue light came from the device. Slowly, a hologram appeared, an alien figure with glowing eyes and sharp, elegant armor. It spoke again in a strange language. Then the message changed into English. "The starburn must survive. She carries the last key. If she falls, the stars will burn." Raiden stared at the light. "What the hell are you talking about?" he whispered. The light faded. Silence returned. He looked down at Lyra again. "Who are you?" The next morning, faint sunlight touched the jungle leaves outside the cave. Birds chirped. The storm had passed. Raiden cooked a small meal using his emergency rations. As he placed a small cup of water beside Lyra, her eyes slowly opened. She flinched, trying to sit up. Raiden gently pushed her shoulder back. "Easy. You're safe now. I found you last night." Lyra blinked. Her glowing eyes searched his face. She looked afraid, but not panicked. "I'm Raiden," he said. Then pointed to himself. "Raiden." Lyra looked at him, then whispered in a soft voice, "Rhea." Her voice was quiet, broken. But her name was clear. Lyra, Raiden. Repeated. "Okay, good. You remember your name." She winced and touched her side. The wound was still deep. Raiden opened his pack and took out a med spray. "This might sting a little," he warned as he treated her wound. Lyra didn't cry. She just looked at him, curious, confused, as if trying to understand who or what he was. "Why are they chasing you?" Raiden asked. Lyra said nothing. Then she slowly lifted her wrist. The bracelet blinked again. She touched it, and a small map appeared. Stars, moons, blinking symbols. Raiden couldn't read it, but he understood one thing. "They're after this," he said. "This thing." And you, Lyra nodded. Then, with a shaky hand, she drew something in the dirt. A circle. A line. A shape like a tower. A figure of a girl standing in front of it. Raiden frowned. "A place? You want to go there?" Lyra nodded again. He looked at the crude drawing. "But why? What's there?" She tried to speak, but only a broken whisper came. "Safe." Suddenly, the cave wall behind them shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A loud sound echoed through the jungle. Raiden jumped to his feet. "They're scanning again." He helped Lyra stand, wrapping her arm around his shoulder. She leaned on him, weak but trying to walk. "We can't stay here. You said safe. Then let's find that place." They moved through the jungle slowly. Raiden carried Lyra when she was too weak to walk. He avoided open paths, staying in the shadows. Twice, patrols passed nearby, but he kept them hidden. At night, they rested beside a dry riverbed. A small fire gave them warmth. Lyra looked up at the stars. Her eyes softened. Raiden sat beside her, silent for a moment. Then he asked, "You come from up there, don't you?" She looked at him and nodded. "Your people, are they all gone?" Her face darkened. She lowered her head. A tear slipped down her cheek. Raiden said nothing. He just sat beside her, watching the fire burn. Then Lyra spoke softly. "They took everything." Her English was broken, but clear enough. "Who?" Raiden asked. "Metal ones, machines. They kill, no heart." Raiden's jaw tightened. He had seen too many wars. Too much death. But this girl was something different. She wasn't a soldier. She was just a child with no home. A soft wind blew through the trees. The fire cracked quietly. Raiden looked at her. Why do they call you Starburn? Lyra hesitated, then touched her chest. Born from sky, chosen, light inside. Raiden didn't understand everything, but he believed one thing now: Lyra wasn't just another alien. She was important. Someone had made her a target, and someone else had left a message to protect her. She carries the last key. Raiden looked up at the sky. I don't know what this key is, he said, but if they want you dead, I'll make damn sure you stay alive. Lyra looked at him. For the first time she smiled, just a little. The bond had begun, but far above, a satellite camera locked onto their position. A red alert blinked. Target located. Starburn detected. Orders: terminate. 3 days had passed since Captain Raiden found Lyra, the alien girl called Starburn. They moved quietly through the jungle during the day and rested at night. Raiden kept them away from open paths, using old scout tricks to hide their tracks. Lyra was getting stronger. Her wounds were healing faster than human wounds ever could, but she still spoke little. She still had nightmares. Every night, she woke up whispering in her strange language. Every morning, her eyes searched the sky with sadness. On the 4th day, Raiden spotted a signal flare in the distance. Someone's out there, he said. They followed it carefully. By noon, they reached an old human outpost half buried under vines and moss. A tall antenna stood broken, but lights flickered inside. Raiden told Lyra to stay hidden in a cave nearby. Wait here. Don't come out until I say. She looked at him, worried. Rayd, and gave her a half smile. I'm not leaving, just checking. Maybe someone friendly. Inside the outpost, 2 soldiers sat near a fire. One of them stood up quickly when Raiden entered. Raiden? The man said in shock. You're alive? Raiden blinked. Sergeant Bren. I thought you were dead. Bren laughed and hugged him. We thought you were gone. The second soldier, Lieutenant Harris, stood slowly. He didn't smile. His eyes scanned Raiden like a machine. Where have you been, Captain? Harris asked. Surviving, Raiden said. Scavenging. Avoiding patrols. Harris stepped closer. You were near the crash zone 3 nights ago. Raiden's body tensed. Yeah, saw smoke. Drones everywhere. Did you find anything? Raiden shook his head. Wreckage. Nothing useful. Harris kept staring. Command says something escaped. Some alien asset. Raiden forced a calm tone. Didn't see anything alive. But Harris's hand moved to his holster. You're lying, Raiden. Bren frowned. Lieutenant, Harris cut him off. Scanners picked up alien energy near your last location. The signal moved with you, right to this jungle, right to here. Raiden didn't respond. His fingers tightened around his belt. You found it, didn't you? Harris asked. The Starburn. Raiden's voice went cold. What is she to you? Harris smirked. She's a weapon. A threat. Command wants her captured or dead. Raiden took a slow step back. Harris pulled his pistol. But before he could aim, a bright light flashed from outside. The cave Lyra was hiding in began to glow. Her bracelet lit up on its own. She stood, afraid. She heard footsteps fast and heavy. Raiden ran toward her. Lyra, move. Behind him, Harris and Bren followed Harris, shouting, She's here, stop them. Lyra saw the fear in Raiden's eyes. She stepped forward, raising her hand. Suddenly, a wave of blue energy burst from her palm, not powerful, but enough to knock everyone off their feet. Bren crashed into a tree. Harris dropped his gun. Stunned. Rayd stood, coughing. He looked at Lyra. Her eyes were glowing brighter than ever. She looked scared but strong. Raiden, Harris shouted, getting up. You don't know what she is. Raiden picked up Harris's pistol and pointed it at him. She's a child. She's a bomb waiting to go off, Harris yelled. She's not one of us. Raiden stepped forward, voice low and firm. No, she's better than us. He turned to Bren. Don't follow us. Bren looked torn. He didn't move. Raiden grabbed Lyra's hand, and they disappeared into the jungle once again. That night, they hid deep in the roots of an old tree. Raiden wrapped a blanket around Lyra. She sat close, silent. You didn't mean to hurt them, did you? He asked. Lyra shook her head. Scared. I know. He looked at the stars through the leaves. They don't see what I see, he said. They see danger. I see someone trying to survive. Lyra whispered, You trust me? Raiden looked at her serious. Yes, do you trust me? She nodded slowly. Then she placed her hand on his chest, over his heart. Her fingers glowed. Faintly, images flashed in Raiden's mind, her memories. He saw a shining city in the sky. He saw metal armies burning it. He saw Lyra's mother, tall, powerful, telling her, You are the last. Protect the light. Then it was gone. Raiden gasped, pulling back slightly. Lyra looked at him, waiting. He whispered, You showed me. She nodded. Now you know. He took her hand again gently. I'm with you now. No matter what comes. But far away, in a human base, a transmission was sent. Captain Raiden is rogue. He's protecting the Starburn. Authorization granted. Hunt them both. The real enemy wasn't just chasing them. It was already wearing their uniform. The morning fog curled low through the forest, silent and silver. Birds didn't sing. The air felt heavy, like the jungle was holding its breath. Raiden moved slowly through the trees. His steps were quiet, but his body ached. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Food was running low. Ammo too. Lyra followed close. Behind, she didn't look tired. Her energy had changed. She moved like she could feel the forest, like it whispered to her. Raiden noticed it. Her steps didn't break branches. Animals didn't run from her anymore. They watched her. Like she was part of them. We're close to the cliffs, Raiden said. If we cross them, there's a valley. Old maps show ruins there. Maybe. Shelter. Lyra nodded. Her eyes glowed faintly. Safe place? Maybe. But something was wrong. Raiden felt it in his chest before he heard it. A pulse. A hum. He turned and a sharp sound cracked through the air. A sniper shot. Raiden's shoulder snapped back with blood. He dropped to his knees. Raiden! Lyra screamed. He tried to move, but another shot hit the ground beside him. 3 soldiers. Rushed from the trees, not drones. Not aliens, humans. Rayd. Ian raised his gun, but his hand shook. Blood poured from his arm. Lyra stepped between him and the soldiers. Get back! One of them shouted. Step away from the target. Lyra looked at them, confused but not afraid. One soldier fired a stun pulse. It hit her in the chest. She didn't fall. Her bracelet blinked. Red dot, then her eyes changed silver, turned to white. The forest around them went still. The ground trembled. The air filled with soft, strange whispers, like voices coming from the leaves and soil. Raiden watched, half conscious, as Lyra raised her hand. The trees bent away from her. The light around her shimmered. Her feet lifted slightly from the ground. The soldiers shouted, What the hell? A wave of white-blue energy burst from Lyra's body, soft like wind, but strong like a storm. The men flew backward, weapons torn from their hands. Their radios exploded. Lights went out. Then everything was silent again. Lyra fell to the ground beside Raiden, gasping. Her body shook. She held his bleeding shoulder. No, she whispered. No, die. She pressed both hands on his chest. Her hands glowed, but this time not with power, with light. Raiden's breathing slowed. His eyes closed. Please, Lyra said, tears falling. Please. The light spread across his body. The wound began to close. Bone and skin repaired. before her eyes. Slowly, Raiden opened his eyes. He was alive. They rested that night in a cave behind the waterfall. Raiden sat near the fire, silent. His shoulder was healed, no pain, no scar. But his mind was full of questions. "You saved me," he said quietly. Lyra looked at him, tired. He looked into her eyes. "What are you?" Lyra didn't speak. Instead, she took a small crystal from her pouch. It was clear, glowing with soft light. She placed it in Raiden's hand. "I'm Starburn," she said. "Born from sky. Made of light, but also flesh, also fear." Raiden held the crystal. It felt warm, alive. "My people. All gone. I am last." He looked at her. "Why do they want you dead?" Lyra's eyes darkened. "Because I can stop them." "Who?" She didn't answer with words. Instead, she showed him again. Raiden saw visions, burning ships, machines with no faces, a great machine mind in a black tower. A war not just for land, but for hope. "They fear me," Lyra said. "But they fear us, together, more." Raiden looked at her, surprised. "Together?" She nodded. "You are not just soldier. You are something more now." He didn't understand, but part of him felt the truth in her words. He wasn't the same man anymore. Not after seeing her power. Not after feeling it heal him, and not after watching her cry for him. That night, Raiden didn't sleep. He stood at the mouth of the cave, looking at the stars. Clouds moved slowly, covering and uncovering the sky like waves. Behind him, Lyra slept. Holding the crystal close, Raiden whispered to the sky, "What am I becoming?" From the shadows, a voice answered, not Lyra's. "A traitor to your kind." Raiden spun, gun raised. A new figure stepped from the trees, a human, armor black, face hidden behind a visor. "You chose the alien," the soldier said. "Now Earth chooses death," Raiden fired. The figure vanished into smoke. Raiden stood alone. Heart pounding, something darker had just entered the game. Mist clung to the mountain as Raiden and Lyra climbed the narrow path. Each step was harder than the last. Their bodies ached, but they did not stop. Somewhere above, hidden by rock and fog, was the place Lyra had drawn in the dirt so many nights. Ago. The lost city. Birds circled overhead. The jungle thinned, replaced by broken stone and tangled vines. Ruins peeked through the trees, pillars carved with glowing lines. Strange symbols shining in the mist. Lyra's eyes widened as they entered the old city gates. "This is home?" Raiden asked softly. Lyra didn't answer. She just touched a stone wall. The lines under her fingers pulsed with soft blue light. Old machines hummed beneath the surface, waking up after a long silent sleep. They walked through empty streets. The buildings were shaped like shells, tall and curved. Plants grew everywhere, covering statues and old doors. Faint music played from nowhere, gentle notes carried on the wind. At the city's heart stood a great tower, half broken but still standing. Its roof touched the clouds. Lyra's steps grew slow and careful. She reached out to the tower's door. Circle carved with the same symbol on her bracelet. The door slid open, silent and smooth. Raiden followed her inside. The air was cool. A light moved through the hall, following their every step. As they reached the central chamber, a voice echoed around them. Not a voice of flesh, but one made of metal and memory. "Welcome, Starburn. Your return was foretold." A shape appeared, a projection of a tall woman with Lyra's eyes, but older and proud. Her hair shone like silver fire. Lyra trembled. "Mother." Raiden looked between them, unsure. The projection smiled kindly. "Lyra, my daughter, my last hope. If you see this, then the end is near. The machines have come for us all. Only you can wake the heart of the city, but you are not alone. The human beside you, he must help." Raiden stepped forward. "Me? I'm just a soldier. The hologram turned to him. No, Captain Raiden, you are more. Only together, Starburn and Human, can the shield be raised. Only together can you save both our worlds. Lyra stared at the floor. I'm not ready. I'm scared. The projection softened. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is hope in the darkness. The bond you make will light the way. With a shimmer, the hologram faded. The chamber's walls lit up with patterns, maps of stars, histories of battles, faces of Lyra's lost people. Raiden touched Lyra's shoulder gently. You can do this, he said. We can do this. She nodded, wiping a tear from her eye. Suddenly, alarms blared through the city. Red lights flashed across the ancient stone. On the main view screen, shapes appeared, ships landing at the jungle edge. Raiden squinted. Those are Earth insignia, human soldiers. Lyra's hand shook. They found us. Outside, thunder rumbled not from the sky, but from engines and weapons. Raiden loaded his rifle. We have to hold them off. Lyra pressed her bracelet to the control panel. I can wake the city. But it will take time. Raiden stood at the door, looking out at the empty streets that once held life. Lyra closed her eyes and sang a soft, ancient song. The city's walls glowed. Machines deep below ground began to move. The tower's heart throbbed with power, shaking. The earth. Raiden fought in the streets, his old uniform covered in dust and sweat. He dodged lasers and called out orders to no one but himself. The enemy was everywhere, black armored commandos, faces hidden, shouting for Lyra. Give us the Starburn. They roared. Raiden answered with gunfire and courage. He wouldn't let them pass. Inside the tower, Lyra's song grew louder. She wept as the old city woke for her machines, remembering her people, doors opening with her touch. She saw ghosts of the past, children playing, elders singing. Her mother's loving smile as she touched the final crystal at the chamber's center. The entire city shone like a star. Raiden stumbled back inside, wounded but not broken. It's working, he called. They're falling back. Lyra opened her eyes, shining bright as the sun. The city is awake. The shield is rising. Above them, a dome of light spread across the ruins, blocking enemy ships and soldiers. Raiden sat down, exhausted. He looked at Lyra with wonder and respect. You're a queen, he said softly. Lyra shook her head. Not a queen, just a girl, but not alone anymore. They shared a tired smile, but outside the shield, the army gathered in anger. A new weapon rolled forward, one big, enough to shatter even ancient walls. The safety of the lost city was only for now. The true battle was still to come. Asterisk. The city's shield glowed against the night, a dome of hope and light in a world full of shadows. Raiden and Lyra stood together atop the broken tower, watching the enemy gather at the shield's edge. Engines thundered, searchlights swept across the ruins, and the jungle burned with the fires of war. Raiden's wounds were patched, but he looked tired, older than his years. Lyra's hair drifted in the wind, shining like starlight. Her eyes carried both fear and fire. Below, the enemy was not just one army, but two. The humans had come in force. Tanks, soldiers, drones, even warbits. But they were not alone. From the jungle shadows, the machines Lyra feared, metal hunters with empty faces, pushed forward, crushing trees and tearing up the earth. Their voices were like broken radios. Target, Starburn, destroy, destroy. For the first time, even the human soldiers hesitated. Their own machines turned on them. Betrayal echoed through their ranks. Raiden watched as chaos spread below. They don't care who wins. They only want destruction. Lyra nodded. They hate life. Raiden gripped his rifle. But we're still here. The shield was strong, but not unbreakable. A huge war machine rolled to the front lines. Its cannon glowed red, charging to fire. Lyra pressed her hands to the tower's heart. The shield shimmered, cracks flickering along its surface. It's too much. I can't hold it forever. Raiden scanned the city. There has to be a way out, or a way to stop them. The machines outside spoke again. Surrender the starburn. The human dies. Lyra looked at Raiden, voice shaking. Go. Escape. They only want me. Raiden shook his head. We finish this together. Suddenly, a hidden door slid open behind them. Sergeant Bren, Raiden's old friend, stood there, bleeding and afraid. Raiden! Commandos inside the city. They've breached a tunnel. They're coming for you now. Raiden grabbed Lyra's hand. We move to the lower chambers. They'll have to come through me. The tower's halls echoed with the sound of footsteps and gunfire. Raiden and Bren fought side by side, holding narrow stairways as long as they could. Raiden fired until his rifle was empty, then used a fallen sword he found among the ancient relics. Lyra reached the core chamber, the very heart of the lost city. Here, everything pulsed with alien light. The walls hummed with energy, whispering of old hopes and lost dreams. A voice echoed inside her mind, her mother's. Gentle and brave. You are not alone, Lyra. Let him in. Together you are stronger. Raiden burst into the chamber, armor cracked and eyes wild. They're everywhere. They'll break through any second. Lyra turned to him, fear and hope mixing in her voice. Help me, please. Raiden stepped forward, taking her hands. The city's heart glowed between them. Whatever happens, he whispered, I'm with you. Their hands locked. A wave of energy surged through the city. The doors shattered open. Commandos stormed in. Bren shouted, down! Raiden and Lyra dropped as lasers flashed overhead, but Lyra stood, raising both hands. A storm of light burst from her, flinging the commandos backward. The city itself seemed to roar, a song of life fighting death. But power had a price. Lyra stumbled, falling to her knees. Blood dripped from her nose. Her glow began to fade. Raiden rushed to her, holding her up. Don't leave me, Lyra, not now. Lyra's voice was weak. I'm tired, Raiden, so tired. The city's shield outside shuddered as the war machine's cannon fired again. A hole appeared. The machine surged forward. Raiden looked at Bren. Take her. Run if you can. Bren hesitated, then nodded, grabbing Lyra gently. Raiden stood at the broken door, facing the storm. He whispered, Come on then. You want the starburn? You'll have to go through me. Outside, the shield collapsed in a shower of sparks. The machines rushed in, human and metal both. Inside, Raiden fought with everything he had left. Lyra, barely conscious, pressed her hand to the city's heart one last time. Her mind called out to Raiden. Don't give up. We are the key. Together. Raiden felt a surge of warmth inside his chest, a spark that wasn't just his own. He shouted, Lyra! I'm here. I'm not leaving you. In that moment, the city's heart answered. A second shield, a smaller, brighter sphere wrapped around Raiden and Lyra, sealing them off as the enemies closed in. Above the city, the clouds broke. A single beam of sunlight shone down, cutting through the smoke and ruin. Inside the shield, Raiden held Lyra close. Outside, the world was fire and metal. Inside, hope survived by the thinnest thread, but Lyra's breathing was shallow. Her light was almost gone. Raiden whispered, tears in his eyes, Don't leave me. Please. The final choice was near. Inside the heart of the ruined city, time seemed to stop. Raiden knelt beside Lyra, holding her close. The shield's glow was fading, flickering like a dying star. Outside, enemy machines and soldiers pounded on the barrier. Their shouts and gunfire sounded distant, as if from another world. Lyra's eyes were open, but her light was almost gone. Her breath was soft and shallow. Her skin, usually glowing, looked pale and cold. Raiden touched her cheek, voice shaking. Stay with me, Lyra, please, don't go. She tried to smile, her lips trembling. You saved me. More than once. Her hand rested on his heart, fingers weak but warm. You gave me hope. Raiden wiped a tear from his cheek. You are hope. If you die, everything ends. She shook her head slowly. Hope is not just me. It's us, you and me, together. He felt her mind touching his. Memories and feelings rushed in 1,000 images, bright as the stars. He saw her mother's face, her people's songs, the burning of her home, and the soft promise of a world rebuilt. Suddenly, the city's heart pulsed just once like a warning bell. Raiden looked up. The enemy had broken through the last of the shield. Gunfire flashed, metal feet thundered on the old stone floors. The final assault had begun. Raiden clenched his fists. If I could trade my life for yours, I would. If I could save you. Lyra looked into his eyes. There is a way. She placed her hand on his chest, just above his heart. The crystal she had carried since childhood began to glow. My life. Your life, we can share. But you must trust. Me, you must choose. Raiden nodded. I trust you. More than anyone. The crystal's light spread, wrapping them both in soft energy. Raiden felt warmth, sorrow, and hope mixing together. His wounds healed. His spirit brightened. But he felt something slipping away, his own strength, his old self. The soldier who walked alone. Lyra's breath grew stronger as Raiden's eyes grew heavy. He fell to his knees, fighting the darkness. Lyra cried out, No, not like this. She poured her energy back into him, refusing to let him fade. Outside, the machines broke into the chamber. Their leader, a metal giant, voice cold and empty, spoke. Starburn, your time is over. Humanity's traitor will fall with you. Raiden stood, his hand still linked with Lyra's. But something was different. A new power glowed in his eyes. Lyra's energy mixed with his, creating something neither alien nor human, but both. Raiden raised his hand, and a shockwave of light burst out, throwing the machines back, melting their metal, blinding their sensors. The city's heart pulsed. Again, stronger than before. The ancient computers spoke in voices old as stars. Bond confirmed. Starburn and human life united. Lyra and Raiden stood together in the center of the light. Lyra whispered, We can save them, all of them, but we have to leave. Raiden nodded. Where you go, I go. He looked around at the ruined city, the burning jungle, the broken world. It's time to build something new. Lyra took his hand. The crystal shone between their fingers, brighter and brighter, until everything else disappeared. When the light faded, the machines were gone. The enemy soldiers lay stunned, their weapons useless. The city, once in ruins, began to heal, stone shifting, plants blooming. Lyra and Raiden stood in a field of flowers, no longer alone. All around them, faces appeared, survivors, children, refugees, human and alien, coming out of hiding. Raiden smiled, his eyes full of wonder and new strength. Lyra laughed, her voice like music. A portal opened at the city's heart, swirling with stars and possibilities. Raiden looked at Lyra. Ready? She squeezed his hand. With you. Always. Together, they stepped through, leaving behind an old world and walking toward a new one.